Hi, I'm Matt with Woodland Scenics. Every town and every city all over the country has its own network of roads. So when building your layout, modeling realistic roads or any paved areas is a very important process. By using the steps and techniques that I'm about to demonstrate, you too can build any style of road, sidewalk, or any paved area to meet your desired look. Whether these areas are to resemble years of service or like they were freshly poured yesterday, these modeling techniques will give you great results every time. Now when planning your layout, take the time to figure out where your roads with sidewalks, any parking area or a foundation for your buildings are going to be. This will save you a lot of time in the long run. On this particular example, I've made a real quick layout for you with a simple road on it for demonstration purposes. This is a 22-foot wide road in HO scale, or about 3 inches. Let me show you how I got this far. To create your road, start by making your marks. On this particular illustration, we're using a 22-foot wide road, or 3 inches on HO scale. Connect your lines using a straight edge, or if you have curves on your layout, make a quick jig out of a piece of styrofoam and 2 foam pencils. Next, use the paving tape from the Woodland Scenics subterranean system. Simply cut to desired length, remove the backing, and place on the outside edge of your lines. To help keep your area clean, apply a strip of masking tape to your paving taped areas. Now, use Smooth It to create your roads. Simply pour 2 cups of Smooth It into a clean container, add in 1 cup of water and mix well. If you are paving on a slant, a thicker consistency may be needed by just adding more Smooth It to your mixture. Smooth It is part of the Woodland Scenics subterranean system and is perfect for paved areas such as highways, roads, sidewalks, or even railroad crossings. Next, using the spreader provided, evenly spread and level Smooth It between the strips of paving tape. For wider areas, a larger spreader may be needed. Allow Smooth It to dry to the touch before removing paving tape. Once the Smooth It has dried, it needs to be sanded. Use a 220 grit sandpaper to sand to a smooth finish. This is also a great time to add any imperfections to your road, like potholes or cracks. Once your road is sanded and smooth, paint on Woodland Scenics asphalt top coat. Alright, now our top coat has completely dried. Now we're going to go ahead and add some weather and effects to our layout. There's really no right or wrong to doing this. I'm just going to give you a couple quick techniques to get you on your way. And first thing I like to do is really sand down the layout itself. You got a brand new road here. It's really black, looks fresh. I want to put some age on it, like a lot of trucks and vehicles have gone over the road. The quickest way to do that is with sandpaper. My only advice to you is start off with a really fine grit sandpaper. I'm using a 1200 here. As you can see, it immediately changes the color, the top coat of that road to a lighter gray, just a more of an aged pavement, and it really is a quick way to age your entire layout itself. So just by doing that, I've already gave it a great weathering effect, but we're just getting started. The next step is actually to focus on your stripes. I could have done my stripes first, but then the sanding technique might have messed up my stripes, and we don't want that to happen. So at this point, let's go ahead and put some striping on this road. Again, stripes are one of them things I really enjoy doing it on the entire layout. There's a lot of technical parts to it. You just want to do your research online or whatever you have to make sure your stripes are in the right place. You want the layout to look realistic. I'm using a Woodland Scenic dry transfer here of a double yellow line. You could put a dotted yellow line there, whatever decal you need, they offer it, so just go ahead and figure out which ones you want and order them and get them onto your layout. The double yellow line is a real standard on like a country road or whatnot, and that's why I chose it on this layout. It's real easy to put on it. Just make sure you start by using your dry transfer face down so you don't scratch it off with your burnisher. Put it right down the center of the road, whether you're using a dotted line or whether you're using a road for a stop sign or a stoplight or a railroad crossing, whatever it is. Final results will be fantastic. Real easy to apply it. I believe this one's on there pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel that back. And as you can see, it's that simple. Now I have a perfect double yellow line on my road, but now I need to get it caught up to my weathered road, and to do so, I'm going to use another technique by using a number 2 pencil and again some sandpaper. I'm going to step up the grit a little bit to about 80 grit sandpaper. Number 2 pencil, I'm basically trying to get the lead out of this pencil onto my layout, and you can do that to simply scrub it onto the sandpaper. and letting that trickle right off into your layout. Now, be careful because you really don't want to cover the entire layout or actually add too much of the number 2 lead. It's pretty dark, so just put it where you need it. I'm going to try to get it right down the middle of the road here where tire tracks may have been, or maybe a big truck skidded on the road at one time and left a big tire mark. And also, this is a good technique to use in your pothole like I got right here as well. Once you kind of got it sprinkled out where you want it, use your finger just to rub that into your layout. And again, go with the grain of the road, and it immediately gives it a real nice effect, a nice weathered effect. And this is a great technique to go over your stripe as well to kind of get it dulled down a little bit, to add some age to it as well. And then don't forget your pothole. This really highlights all the cracks and everything around that pothole, and boy, I can tell you, it just really brings it to life really quick. It's a really neat technique. Okay, I think I'm good with that. Again, I don't want to put too much on there. I just want to keep those highlighted areas standing out on their own. To back up that pothole a little bit, I'm going to go to either a lead pencil, you can use a black marker, whatever works for you, to again put some cracks around your pothole, wherever you feel like you need a crack onto the pavement itself. It's, again, just get artistic about it. Put a few here and there, and just kind of think about how your road would look as you're driving down the road, and try to duplicate that onto your layout to add a lot of detail and a lot of realism to your modeling. Okay, and then the final step I like to do here is actually do a little black wash over your entire layout. Again, nothing but black Woodland Scenics pigment into a little water to dilute it down a little bit. And again, as I said before, you don't want to get too heavy on this. You can always go back and add more. Definitely start light. You don't want to have to do your weathering technique all over again. But again, this is a quick way to wash over the entire layout. Really adds a lot of detail very quickly, and the results are fantastic. This is all going to dry to a nice color, and kind of focus again on those tire tracked areas. Put a lot on there. You can even puddle some up. Let's say in a parking spot or a parking lot, you can puddle some up. It'll give the illusion of some oil all saturated into the pavement. Whatever works for you, but this is a real easy technique to get a lot of area done very quickly. And again, I'm going to drop a little extra right into that pothole. And just like that, boom, this layout's already taken shape. Added about 50 years onto this road in a few minutes. And again, do that to your whole layout, and I think you're going to be very pleased with these techniques. Don't be limited to them. Use your imagination and have fun. Many modelers find building a road crossing to be a very intimidating process. By using Woodland Scenics products and a couple easy techniques, let me show you how easy it can be. First, determine where your road is going to cross your track. Cut back the track bed with a foam knife or a hobby knife. This will allow your riser to set closer to the track. The finished road should be the same height as the top of your rails. Allow for 1/16 of an inch for the thickness of the road. Cut an incline starter to raise the height of the road. Use one or more incline starters to accommodate the entire road width. Push these inclines tightly up against the track ties and glue into place. At this point, lay a strip of masking tape over your track rails for protection. Place a layer of plaster cloth over your incline starters and blend into your existing layout. Allow plaster cloth to dry completely. Then, lightly sand smooth in preparation of your paving tape. Apply your paving tape to the outside edges of your road and fill with Smooth It. Spread the Smooth It level so the road bed is flush with the top of the rails. Once the Smooth It has dried, sand smooth and apply a layer of Woodland Scenics asphalt top coat. At this point, we're going to show you how to actually get Smooth It inside the track to level off the road. It's a simple process. Use the same paving tape as we did prior. Cut pieces to the width of your track and place them inside the rails itself. Once you get those where you want it, you want to take the extra step of protecting your layout by a little bit of masking tape over your road or wherever you don't want Smooth It on your layout. And I'm just going to put some on the edge of my road bed right here. You don't want to pour too much Smooth It into it. You just want to get enough to fill that off and make it flush. So follow the instructions on the Smooth It. Get it to a nice consistency and go ahead and fill that cavity. Now keep in mind your paving tape and your rails are going to act like a guide for your spreader. Level to smooth. And now this needs to dry completely before moving on. So I went ahead and built another module to show you what's next. This one here, I'll let the smooth it completely dry, painted it with asphalt top coat, weathered it a little bit, and now the final step to get this road crossing complete would be to cut some thin grooves on the inside of your rail so your train wheels have room to pass by your road crossing. Now to do so, it's a very easy process. I'm going to be using a sharp hobby knife or even a foam cutter, using a straight edge, and just simply lay that on the inside of your rail. Give your knife enough room to pass by and just cut out your groove. And again, it doesn't need to be crazy. You just want to get enough room there for that train wheel to pass over so we don't have to worry about any type of derailment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut an additional groove on the opposite side of the track. Keep these grooves on the inside of your train track itself, okay? These are grooves are cut out for your train to pass over, allowing the wheels to go over the road crossing without any problems. We don't want any derailments on these intersections. All right, now when you cut these grooves, it's completely up to you. You can actually cut it when the smooth it is still slightly wet, or you can actually finish your layout and then come back and hit all your grooves after the fact. And that's kind of what I've done here. I've actually got all my top coat painted on. I've actually got a little bit of weathering going on, but by doing it afterwards, you take a little bit of a risk of chipping up the area and may have to go back and do some touch-up, and that's what I'm going to do next. Now, if you use a really sharp knife, that eliminates a lot of chips and cracks when you're running it down the smooth it, so the sharper the knife, the better. But if you have any chips, it's no big deal. You just put a little bit of the top coat right back over it. Just go ahead and touch up any chips or cracks or anything. You want this area to be very realistic looking, so take the time to go back and touch up them little details. It'll just make for a nice presentation at the end of it all. So let me touch that up just a little bit more with this foam brush here. If you get anything on your train track, you definitely want to get that off of there. We want a nice contact to the train. That's good. And to do that, you can simply use a Q-tip, a little bit of water or any type of solvent on there, and just simply run that along the train rails itself. So as you can see, that cleans up the rail real nice, and that'll give you a good clean contact with your train. Once you're done with that, you just want to complete the layout by adding ballast to the inside of your the rails itself. Get those all complete, and then your road crossing will be completely done. I recommend putting these all over your layout. It adds for a lot of interest and gives it a very realistic look. Many streets and roads on your layout may have additional features to it. For example, a stepped up curb or possibly even a sidewalk. On this particular demonstration, I'm going to show you how to build these features by starting with a 10-foot sidewalk with a ramp, a 4-foot sidewalk with a gravel lot, or even a city block or possibly a parking lot with a 10-foot sidewalk as well. All these will be in HO scale, so let's get started. Start by measuring out from the edge of your road to determine the width of your sidewalk. Be sure to include the width of your sidewalk when calculating a city block or parking lot. Next, place 1 layer of paving tape on the top edge of your road. Follow by stacking 2 layers of paving tape on the outside edge of your sidewalk. This will give your spreader a guide to run along to give you a level surface. For any feature on your layout that includes a sidewalk, this procedure is the same. Now, add a layer of masking tape to help keep your layout clean. Mix up a batch of Smooth It and pour it in between the paving tape and level to smooth. Once your Smooth It has completely dried, remove tape and sand to a smooth finish. And finally, for any gravel feature, pour in Woodland Scenics fine ballast and level. Now to finish our layout, we're going to go ahead and complete our 10-foot corner section. On this section, I went ahead and added a ramp, which I used a hobby knife and some sandpaper to bring that ramp down flush with my existing street. At this point, we're going to go ahead and put expansion joints into our sidewalk. Now because it's a 10-foot sidewalk, I'm going to use an HO scale ruler and mark off my expansion joints in 5-foot increments. Once your lines are complete on your layout, go ahead and use a straight edge and a pencil, or use your hobby knife to score those lines right into your sidewalk, which is what I'm going to do here. I went ahead and completed this one section, so I'm going to simply score my lines to finish off the layout. Don't forget your curbs. You don't have to dig too deep, just score the top of it, and then when you go ahead and add weather to this, those lines will be highlighted and it'll give a very realistic look to your layout. It's a very simple step and it's well worth doing because the realism that'll be added to your layout will be very noticeable. Alright, now we're ready for paint, but before we add our paint, go ahead and use a light brush or something to dust off your layout. We want to have a nice clean surface so that paint adheres to your smooth it. Alright, that's good. Now to give this a very nice realistic color, we're going to be using a product out of the Subterranean system. This is also a top coat product and it's going to be in the concrete color. Alright, put a little bit into a cup. Now I'm going to be using a foam brush because it really applies it nice and smooth. And have a lot of control over it as well. So simply add that to your layout. Now if you're more comfortable, masking off your areas that you don't want to get paint on, feel free to take the time to do that. And then at this point, once your paint is completely dry in your layout, and if you feel like you need another coat, that would be a good time to apply it, or go ahead and start weathering your sidewalk. On this particular layout here, I'm going to leave it looking like brand new. And that's the nice part about building your own layout. You can make it look as any way you want. Put a lot of age to it or make it look brand new, whatever works for you. Alright, that took that real well. So I'm going to go ahead and add on my last piece of grass mat here to show you the final product. And there you have it. Just by using a couple basic tips and techniques, using the Woodland Scenics products, you'll have a very realistic road system, sidewalks, or even a parking lot on your layout. The results will be fantastic.